here, guys, and market's selling off. But let's just start off with Rolland Market Mashup. Go to our YouTube if you like what we have to say. It's October 26th. And I guess the good news of the day is the stock that Mike talks about a lot, Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, Mike, take it from here.
Yeah, there talks about going private. It sounds like there's a deal at $106.50 a share. I was just, looking around yesterday and this popped up. And naturally, anytime you can own a stock and it is taken private above where the stock's trading, it's music to our ears. Inspire Brands is the company looking to take them private. Dunkin' confirmed the talks, and for over $8 billion. So,
Dad, let me ask you: is there still a chance that doesn't go through, or the stock will go back down? Like Mike,
it's always interesting to see where the stock is trading after an announcement like that, and it's trading very close to that 106 price. So people must think it's going to happen. And if it was trading higher than the price, then the market would anticipate someone else may come in and bid higher. But it's not trading higher yet. But if that starts to happen, that could get interesting.
So if you're a holder here, you just stay put. You wouldn't sell it.
Well, it depends what your thinking is. I mean, most people would probably sell unless they actually thought another buyer was going to come in. If you wait, things can go wrong.
So I guess I'm basically forced into more short-term capital gains then.
Well, do they say when they think it's going to close?
I didn't say. But that's like an SSNI situation, not to the extent, but.
Yeah, I said that. Now, all I heard is they're in talks, right? I didn't hear.
It kind of reminds me of the 5G thing. Everyone always talks about like Verizon, AT&T, and then you throw an Ericsson in the mix and they just crush it. Like I almost feel like the street's always talking about Starbucks over and over again. Starbucks, upgrade, downgrade. Dunkin' Donuts never gets talked about. Look what happens.
It also shows that, sometimes patience gets rewarded because I haven't been following the stock like you have, but even if it's been a slow mover over the months, which maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, something like this could happen and you get rewarded for being a shareholder.
Well, I've been in the 64.
The company that owns Arby's and Buffalo Wild Wings is the one that wants to take over.
One of our clients.
That are Inspire Brands.
Interesting. Maybe we should be hitting up Inspire.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dad, what are your thoughts on what's going on in the market this morning? Is it just
I'm not surprised. I think you got to be more surprised by the idea that the market is surprised.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably a mixture of the election and COVID starting to get out of
I think that's exactly what it is. The COVID cases, we're a week away from the election and it's so up in the air. That, I think, is the big thing here more than anything.
Yeah. And I think the COVID getting worse and worse every day around the globe, basically, does not help Trump.
I'm past thinking that means anything with Trump. I don't know what Trump can be doing. It's like you shut down, we go into a depression. You open up, he gets blamed for cases going up. Like, what do you want from the guy?
Yeah, well,
seriously.
He just happens to be president during.
I get that, but I don't see who's doing anything differently around the world. Like, what are these other leaders doing that aren't getting hated on, that have to be locked down? That's where I don't see what Trump's supposed. This isn't even a political thing at this point, even though the media likes to make it seem it is, because that's their angle. It's just not. It's cold. It's flu season. People are wearing masks. They're still getting sick. I think this is like we expected, the seasonality change. It's flu season.
Yeah, you also can't help but remind yourself of Muhammad Al-Arian and the fact that I think it was like 3-4 months ago when the market was a lot lower than it is right now. That's when he thought it was time to sell. And ever since, he's just been on the sidelines. And he's not a guy that necessarily like talks down on the market. He just presents the facts. And you can tell he still thinks the market is in for a little slip of the rug under people's feet, and just that it's so overvalued based on what's going on in the world. And I always remind myself that guy's been on the sidelines for months, and eventually he's probably going to be right and get his opportunity to get back in the market. And maybe that's what's happening right now is people are starting to digest that there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. There are stocks, though, that are up today, aside from Dunkin'. I mean, Pinterest, they have their earnings this week, and I don't know if it's going to be one of those situations where they sell off on earnings. I'll probably take some profits right before they announce earnings just because they keep getting these upgrades leading into it. JP Morgan upgraded their stock to 57 from 37 this morning, so their stock's up nice. And Snapchat continues to be up, which I think is just people trying to, get in the name that haven't been yet. So there's no shocker there. They crushed their earnings last week. And I think this week you have Facebook reporting, and they're probably going to crush too. So it's going to be interesting.
Facebook, I'd be shocked if they don't crush with what they've been doing with small businesses. I feel like they're going to absolutely kill it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if Snapchat's killing it with advertising revenue, there's no reason Facebook won't be too, unless I guess there's always that chance that Snapchat's stealing advertising money away from Facebook, which is definitely a possibility.
I don't think so. I also think I can't wait to hear till Facebook's getting into video streaming. I'm waiting for that news to break.
Well, yeah, speaking of video streaming, Twitter also has their earnings this week. And wow, they're over 50 right now. Let's see. But I mean, they're down today, but they've gotten some price targets as well. They got a couple today, actually. So what do you guys think about Twitter's earnings? I mean, to be honest, I'm on Twitter all the time and I don't really ever see ads. And that tells me they're not doing well with the advertising just because I'm not seeing them.
Yeah, I'd be concerned. Again, our thought, like we've talked a lot about that whole needing a subscription model for reporters. I don't really think until that happens, I'm not gung-ho on Twitter's advertising at all because I don't think companies value a sponsored ad on a Twitter feed. Yeah, especially with all this fake news talk, it's tough to. If you're a company, the last thing you're thinking is, let me go advertise on Twitter where a lot of people don't even know if this is real or not a lot of the times.
Yeah, you make a good point.
So I would
own it after the election, but
yeah, that's dead on. Post-election, Twitter, the game there. Leading into the election, it's very appealing, and then people naturally are going to be off Twitter way more after we find out who wins.
Dad, what are you looking at right now?
I'm looking at my Amex bill.
So Amex stock.
No, I mean, what are you looking at in the market today?
Well, I'm just noticing that the cyclicals are taking a breather here, which is not surprising. They've had a really good move, and I would keep an eye on those for re-entry points if you've taken some profits, like in Steel or Ford. I mean, they're not down that much, but if they get hit again, it might be worth looking to buy more here or average down or average up. The banks got hit hard today. They've been very strong. The dollar is strong today. At the same time, Bitcoin is strong, which is interesting.
Well, you saw that note that JP Morgan put out this weekend. Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin's getting all the love right now ever since that PayPal announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, JP Morgan wants there to be a world in 20 years, so they're clearly bullish now. I think they're starting to see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, rates have creeped up over the last few weeks. Not a lot, but, significant as a percentage. And I think that's going to turn around and change again also. So we'll have to see on that. But, almost everything, it looks like it's slower today, almost everything.
Yeah. And Norman Spen, who's one of the guys that comes on CNBC, that's one of these like chart technician dudes, still thinks that there's a possibility that the VIX goes back to where it was in February. And like he pulls up this chart and he thinks that it's setting up for a potential massive breakout, which would obviously happen if the market was really in bad shape. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on the VIX.
Well, if there's a contested election, that'll really send things all over the place.
Yeah, and we talked about the airlines and Carnival, the cruise stocks. They were all getting hit hard today.
Good buying opportunity, Dad?
No, not yet, but it will be. It's the same thing right
I
now.
just have such a hard time buying a cruise stock because I get sick on
Well,
the
that's why you do it only for, it's a part.
Well, no, I just hate cruises. Like I just have never in my life wanted to buy a cruise stock.
I was also telling Dad it's crazy because Danny's parents were supposed to go on a cruise this October in Australia and New Zealand, and it got pushed back to next October, and they just canceled the trip that was scheduled for next October.
Really?
So it just shows, like, yeah.
What, the cruise line canceled it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so they're probably, I don't know which cruise line that was. I don't really think it matters. I think it just shows that they might have a lengthier timeline to get things back to normal than what they're telling the public because, they're basically every couple of weeks, they keep pushing it back like a month or two. And I wonder at what point, I mean, it might just be baked in at this point because those stocks have been beaten down, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I think it is baked in to a certain extent, but and these companies have prepared by getting a lot of money, but they're not the same stocks anymore when it finally does turn. You won't see them back at the highs for a long, long time.
Yeah. So, Dad, what's the deal with the SAP company? They're in the cloud business and just reported a huge decline in revenue, and they're down 20%. And that also might be why these tech stocks are getting slammed.
Yeah, I think that could have something to do with it. I don't know what SAP's deal is particularly. They were a high flyer for years and years, and this is one of the few times you see them really disappoint in the last couple of years. So somebody's eating their lunch, especially in cloud, which is not surprising. We all know how many cloud companies there are now, and they must just have tremendous competition in that area.
Mm.
But that stock is down huge today.
Yeah, and it's bringing the other cloud stocks down too. Like obviously not as much, but even like Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft is starting to get back down into. Well, no, not yet actually. That stock was like going back and forth between 208 and 215 before it had its recent breakout. And
yeah,
if it goes back down to 208, I might be a buyer again.
Good buying opportunity. Definitely.
And you just got to keep in mind that the big names are a source of funds for people that have big profits because these stocks moved up so much. So with capital gains at issue, everything that's going on, these are the stocks that people look to take profits. Apple.
I think if Trump wins, we'll see a rally hard from that, like after the election.
If in those names that have big capital gains, you're probably right.
Yeah. Because then naturally everyone will be like, oh, well, taxes are not going to be penalized like we thought. And we'll see a rally probably heading into the year end.
Document Security Systems is soaring right now. They just reported good news. I don't even know what this company does, but their revenues came in basically double what they expected. And their stock's up 58% right now.
So,
what's up?
I think Leon brought them up.
It's at 642. This is one of these fun ones to watch that could explode when the market opens. I don't know that.
What do you guys think about DocuSign here? Because I just have a hard time not wanting to own that stock. You guys know how I like thinking years ahead with movements.
Yeah,
I just think we're heading for that world now fully.
I think they've come down a lot.
Well, it ran up to 290, right?
Yeah, now it's down to 219, and you could almost make the argument everything over 250s. Well, no, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it ran up to 290 and quickly came right back down. But now it looks like
I think they have a lot of competition, but
who cares? Everyone has competition. They have a huge, very well-known name and a lot of customers.
Well, they're right at their 50-day moving average. This could be a good buying level for them.
I think it is. Might be looking at some put options today on Docu.
To sell is what you mean.
Right? Yeah. Selling. Anytime I'm seeing these 50-day moving averages, my brain's like, let me look a few months out here and see if I can sell. I'm going to get back into selling put options this week, which I haven't done in a long time.
I would wait for the VIX to go a lot higher.
I know you would, Dad. And that's why I'm a nut job. But at the end of the day, there are certain plays that you just see and you're like, okay, well, is this stock going to be higher a year from now than where it is now? And even if it's not, how much of a discount am I willing to buy it at? That's why Dan and I always love those big selling put options, because you give yourself a cushion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is true. I will say there is always that fear with these big tech stocks, not even tech stocks, but the stay-at-home names that have just exploded since February.
DocuSign is one of them.
I don't think
can come down to under 100.
I don't look at them though as a stock that, like, when things quote unquote get back to normal, which is never even going to be a thing. That's a shift in itself. I think medicine is heading here. When you look at even like where we're heading with Aetna and CVS, we know that delivery package is coming, and people being sick, not wanting to leave their house to spread something, whatever the case may be. It's obvious where we're heading with telemedicine. And I'll
tell you is, when it comes to DocuSign, I and Corey, we use Sign Now, which is owned by AirSlate. I don't know if AirSlate's a public company, but
wait, Dan, I'm my bad for our viewers. I screwed up there. I did not mean DocuSign. I was talking about that. What's that Teladoc company? The virtual medicine?
Yeah, I think Teladoc.
Is that what it is?
I think it might be Teladoc.
I was thinking about that virtual medicine where you were able to get a consultation on video.
Yeah, the Teladoc stock.
Teladoc.
TDOC.
That's what I was talking about. My bad. I'm not interested in DocuSign.
This chart kind of is a similar thing where it's right on the 50-day moving average. I don't know anything about this stock.
No, well, I think you're right, Mike. Over time, it's going to get better. The video is going to get better.
Yeah, you have to look at this as a Beyond Meat and Bitcoin situation. It's like, where do you bank on the world heading? So, is it going away from this? No, it's heading more and more towards it. And who knows in the future, is there a chance there's another COVID-19 situation? Of course, we have no idea what could happen. I think this creeps enough doubt into people with showing up to doctor's offices. I've had to have my dentist push back off someone being sick. I had a physical pushback. It makes me start wondering, okay, how much friction points are there with these?
Speaking of that, Colorado is at the tipping point where they may have to stop anything but emergency surgeries again, because the numbers have gone up so much here.
That's my point, though. So when you really think about that,
for this particular issue.
Well, Dad, it's just seamlessness. When you think about the efficiency, it's way better off for people. I would much rather not be showing up at a doctor's office. I want to get my blood work here and just deal with it. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
Can't borrow shares of DSS to short right now. I don't understand why that always happens when these stocks are soaring in the morning. Like, you would think there should be a lot of short opportunities. Who's short this stock right now? I guess a lot of people are thinking the same thing.
Which stock? DFS?
DSS. That's the one that I said had good earnings. The Documents SEC Systems.
Oh, right.
It's up 58% right now.
Damn.
And
doesn't Etsy have earnings this week?
Yep.
I'm going to be getting some before earnings. What day is that?
I'll tell you right now.
Talk about a company that I don't think, for our viewers, I get the whole, I've been gung-ho on their cool design mask thing. Wednesday. So when you think about Etsy for a second, my bullish statement on them is, how many of these consumers that went on there for the first time to buy a mask are being lured into other purchases on Etsy? It's almost like you go into a pizza joint, you get a pizza, and you're thirsty. So you're getting a drink. And maybe you're getting some garlic knots with that on top of it. Etsy, to me, it's the writing on the wall. It kind of reminds me of Shopify with the consumer behavior and the merchants being able to do next level stuff. So I'm really liking what they're up to. I feel like it's like a dart, throw darts at the wall. You can buy anything on there. And I think they've done a phenomenal job of funneling in people for masks. And now I'm very curious to see what numbers they're looking at. Because my guess is people have been buying other stuff on there just naturally.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was shopping on Etsy well before the pandemic. I've bought really expensive paintings on there.
So
I
Dan,
got
think
Daniel
about that,
Towing
though.
on there.
That's you before the pandemic. Think about how many people had never been on Etsy, went on to get a cool mask, and now they're on it getting cool paintings and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, and I'm with you. I think Etsy, it's one of those stocks that's going to fly if there's a stimulus. I think even when I'm thinking about like Amazon, these e-commerce websites, I wonder how strong their earnings are going to be, like with a quarter without stimulus compared to what they were when everyone got these free handouts and free checks. That's the only thing that worries me.
Well, keep in mind, there have been more checks sent out, just not like the next there's going to be another stimulus.
There's been more checks?
Like small checks. I think there's been a total of what, 3 checks? It's not like no one's had any checks since the last stimulus.
Well, it depends, what the situation is.
But either way, there's going to be, regardless of who wins this election, there will be nothing political after the election. There'll be a stimulus. That's coming.
What I'm trying to find is we ate at a restaurant the other night, and they had an individual tent built around the table, and they're experimenting with it. So what it does is outdoors in the winter, it separates the tables with a heating unit. So everybody's table outside has a tent around it. And it's a kind of a see-through tent. And I could see restaurants buying these things like crazy to allow outside seating. And
what a tough business owning a restaurant right now.
But I don't know if there's any just tent companies, but I've been trying to find one. So
Camping World.
Ideas that
Marcus Lemonis.
Yeah, let's get him on the horn. Marcus.
I mean, Camping World has been a great stock. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, but didn't it sell off huge recently? What's the ticker? CHS, right? No.
CM what? CMPS.
CWH.
CMPS.
CWH. It's CWH.
CWH, right?
Yeah, that's a weird looking chart. Tell me what you think, Dad.
Yeah, I mean, it's come down a long way. It's probably come down because summer is over. But I don't know if they sell these restaurant tents. But if they do, it could be a gold mine.
If they don't,
well, they're earnings next week. I guess my question is, are there other companies that are in the space that are similar to that have already reported? And like, I think, didn't Winnebago have their earnings?
Yeah, Winnebago got an upgrade today. Funny you mentioned that. The stock is way down from the highs.
But I think they had good earnings and still sold off, if I remember from last week.
The outlook is the problem.
Yeah, but that's where I wonder, if people are just like done with this type of play right now. And that's what I'd be concerned about with Camping World is when I looked at what happened with Winnebago. They had a great quarter and still sold off.
Yeah, you would think that most people that were going to use campers and whatnot have already done it. And now they're just waiting for the vaccine so they could get back to normal. But the longer it lingers, it may bring more people in the fold. But I think the big money's probably been made in those names. It's hard to imagine people are going to keep buying Winnebagos at the same pace.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm definitely
like we were out just looking at real estate this weekend. Toll Brothers, I think it got another upgrade today or a buy recommendation. TOL is the symbol. They just can't supply enough housing. They've got a lot of land, a lot of building to do. And as soon as they start, at least out here, things sell out immediately. I mean, it's really incredible.
Interesting.
Great business when real estate's hot. And with all these fires around the West, all the houses that are being destroyed, those people have to live somewhere again. So they have to look for new houses.
So is that a stock that you're buying?
Well, I'm thinking about Toll Brothers. It's near its high. I'd like to see it break through, and then maybe it's a better look.
Is this one of these stocks, Bob, that you're going to like text us in 3 hours and it's going to be up 15%?
No, this is an example of a company that we're out and about and, we're looking at houses and, most of the ones we were looking at were Toll Brothers companies. And it's unbelievable how well they're doing. For example, one place we were looking at, there were maybe 10 units that are going to become available, and there's 78 people on the waiting list.
Wow.
And they say, oh, you should put your name on because a lot of these people will find something before, these things are ready. So regardless of that.
Your boy Larry's on TV right now.
He's got nothing good to say right now, I'm sure.
I think at this point, when they bring Kudlow on, the markets just get scared because they know that they're putting Kudlow on because they're worried that people are in panic mode.
Got another couple of good ones this week for you guys to look at that are reporting earnings. Crocs, which I don't think we've ever brought up on this show.
A Boulder company.
What's up?
A Boulder company.
Yeah. Well,
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Are they? I don't think so.
Isn't Crocs the shoe?
Yeah, they're in Boulder.
That's where they were founded.
Yeah, you're right. They were founded. The beta market, though, I believe, was New York City for that. Like when they actually,
but I do know that they were founded in Boulder.
Yeah, no, and they popped off in the Village. I remember there was a whole story about it. But Crocs, that if you look at how their stock's been acting, I think they're actually at all-time highs.
What's the symbol, Mike?
CROX.
CROX.
Give that a look. They're reporting this week.
Wait, T is in
C. Crocs. CROX. Boulder company reporting earnings later this week. They're at all-time highs right now.
Yeah, they've been around forever. I don't know what makes it special now, except people are just very casual. So maybe they're buying more Crocs and shoes.
They're the world's biggest.
It all really boils down to what their e-commerce business looks like. So people are going to want to hear is like direct consumer e-commerce business. But yeah, their chart, it's amazing. This company has just gone to all-time highs since it's crazy the run they've gone on since February.
And then one other one to look up is Brunswick Corp, BC. They do the recreation products worldwide.
Yeah, they're boating and everything with that.
So they're reporting earnings later this week too.
This is another one that I feel like could report a good quarter, but might just sell off, similar to Camping World, just because of the time of year.
I think it's a good long-term play, though.
I hate to buy those things coming into the winter. It's not.
It's appealing to me because I like what everyone is not doing. It usually is a winner.
Well, if you look at 2019, it did trade up right to the end of the year, pretty much.
Yep.
So,
Mike, are you buying some of this?
I'm thinking about it. I have a lot of things I'm thinking about buying though.
Where do you get these names, Mike? Because suddenly, like a week later, they get taken over.
I mean, Dad, I told you, not all the stuff I said is out there in a bad way. Most of it's genius. I wake up, I have a dream, someone's like BC, Mike, and then I come on this air. So, we'll see what happens. It's a crazy stretch here. We've got the virus uptick, a week of pre-election banter. Who knows what else will come out? Supposedly some big breaking news is coming out here about Biden shortly.
What are you talking about?
Well, no, about him not campaigning anymore until the election. Something.
This is all Fox-generated news.
How is that big news that Biden's not campaigning?
Well, it's kind of weird how someone wouldn't campaign the 9 days before the election. I've never heard of that in my life.
I think they're taking the approach like, let's see if Trump just beats himself.
Dan, come on, it's too late for that. This is not that's never worked in years. The reality is they're hiding stuff.
I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying it seems like that's the angle.
Yeah,
market is just awful right now. I mean, the future is just not great, and today is going to be one of those days where
a lot of uptick, and there's a lot of news. People don't know if it's fake or real. That's part of the problem.
I'm not buying stock on a day like today yet.
Yeah, this will be a buyer's strike today.
A buyer's strike, meaning they're not going to be there?
Yeah. At least for a while, unless it gets really...
I'm just feeling like this just it doesn't seem like a good day to buy stocks when you have the election coming up and all this uncertainty. Maybe it goes a little lower.
And these are also good days if there's a few of these crazy stocks that are up big. I don't know which ones they are today. There's a couple every day. Those are great shorting opportunities, short term, for a day like today.
For sure. Yeah. If there's
the appetite for people to just be buying when their main portfolio is down.
I think SAP, if it could rally at all, could be a great short today.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. I have not traded that stock for decades.
Well, if it,
yeah, damn, Duncan, I've only been in since June, so that's going to be not a long-term gain thing.
Whatever.
Yeah,
could be. I mean, that might not.
Harold Reese with these taxes.
All right, guys.
All right,
Makes money.
Money.
Like I always do.